They Say What They Can't Radio.
Welcome to SoulShare, a conversation focused on love, intimacy, vulnerability, and emotional intelligence. This is a different kind of relationship dialogue for those who want to make the shift from the ego-driven to more intimate, spirit-nurturing partnerships that satisfy. Because that's what Black love is. Black love is powerful. Black love is soulful. Black love is a love that you can feel. Give thanks. Greetings, this is Sesheta Khepra, and welcome to SoulShare. If I'm going to be completely transparent, like my vibe is completely and totally shifted than normally is, and I'm going to explain to you why. Originally, I was going to do the conversation that that everyone's having on social media regarding Gayle King, Snoop, Kobe, Lisa Leslie. But I decided that, well, Spirit told me that it wouldn't be the best thing to do. And the reason why is I feel like in having these conversations, on in social media and in my own personal life, I feel like, and I get it. I've been called a black man hater. I've been called a misandrist. I've been called a bully. I've been called bitter. I've been called angry. And that has been really painful. And that has been really hurtful and very disappointing, considering the level of work that I've been doing, not only here, but in my personal life and with the men that are closest to me. Even in within social media, there's people who I connect with and people who reach out to me for a certain level of guidance, even though I've never met them. A couple of weeks ago and a couple of shows ago, I had DJ Fresco here, who, gave thanks for, I guess, the level of support that I have given him. And that was the first time he and I met, even though, I supported his journey. And that's what it's been for me, my love, my dedication to Black men, and my level of commitment to them and their journeys and their overall health and their wellness. And, when they're going through their struggles and when they're going through their challenges and their trauma. And for that to be reduced, for me to be reduced to a man hater, misandrist, bitter, and, I'm against Black men just because of this conversation is very, very, very hurtful. And so I decided that I'm not the best person to have this conversation because, it's not being received. And if having this conversation and the very people who I'm trying to connect with aren't receiving it and they misinterpret what my intentions are, then it's not going to be fruitful. So I decided that, we're coming close to Valentine's Day and a coma day and a coma week, that, maybe I should just speak about love. Because, like I said, I am not the right person to have this conversation with. So,
On a quick side, I've known you 20 plus years. You are the biggest male supporter that I know. So for you to take what one or two or maybe five people say from what everybody else is feeling about you doesn't make sense. If you reach one person, you've reached a lot. It doesn't matter what other people think. And I know because you feel so much that bothers you.
yeah, it does. And, as on my way over here, I was thinking about it, and I was like, And I said, I wonder if Stephanie is going to remember this stuff. So I brought up a picture of a flyer from when we was in Medgar Evers. And it was like from our very first conferences. And we had from the Black male and female crisis conversations that we had with Phi Beta Sigma fraternity back in 1996. Then we had this poetry reading also in 1996. One was in October and one was in December, and it was called Something for the Brothers. It was a showcase of nothing but poetry and art that was completely and totally dedicated to celebrating Black men. And I've been doing this work for a long time. And then for people to sit up here and just, and that's how I really feel like with the attack on and Oprah and Gayle, and I'm just like, when people just disregard all the work that they do and accuse them of hating Black men, and I'm like, these are women who have Black men. Gayle was with a Black man. She has a Black son. Oprah has a Black, and everybody disregard. I was like, I have. And I've been involved in nothing but Black men. I have a Black son. But to be reduced to being a Black man hater, and it's really, really hurtful. And it's like, I don't even want to talk about it anymore. So most people, likes to celebrate Valentine's Day. So let's talk about just love. So everyone says that Valentine's Day is every day. So today, how did you show love, Steph?
That is a very good question. How did I show love today? Well, half of my day was spent on auntie duties. So I showed my little nephew a whole lot of love.
Okay, see?
Which in turn wasn't reciprocated as soon as he saw his mama. Little rat bastard.
So,
But for me, like the guy that I'm dating now, it's hard for me to open up. So I had like some stuff go on at work, and like I called him and I was like, look, these are my options. I was like, yo, I'm ready to quit. F this job. I'm looking for my plan B. And he was like, calm down. You overreact and you overthink. Just calm down, breathe, think about this. And for me, like, to actually, because 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to go to anybody. I'm just going to figure out my plan B in my head and just roll with it. But I said, well, let me go to him and get somebody else's opinion. Let me get his opinion. Because, since we're in a relationship, his opinion matters, especially when it comes to work.
right.
So if I just decide to, I feel, especially when it comes to jobs and money like that, if we're in a relationship, then we need to discuss things pertaining to like finances, because
You're building.
we're
together.
building, and what affects me ultimately would affect him.
Absolutely.
So, but I thought about it after, and I was like, I really went to him and I told him, I was like, yo, I feel like quitting and I got to come up with my plan B and F this place. And I was like, oh, I must really like this guy.
Growth. That's growth.
That's growth. It is. Yes,
Congratulations.
Because I don't like anybody.
So you were being very inclusive, and so you're letting your guards down and showing a level of vulnerability that you're not normally used to displaying.
Yes.
Oh, yay!
Because of you.
Oh, thank you. But you know what? That's what it's about. And like I said, it's about, trying to bridge that gap, between us, between men and women. That's what SoulShare is about, so that we can try to have more spirit nurturing and, get that deeper connection between men and women. And I'm sorry to keep going back here, but like I said, it's really, really bothering me. But and to be accused of certain things, and it's like, okay, this is stuff, the work that I've been doing for a long, and I'm very passionate about. But and I'm trying to understand, and and I'm trying to hear our brothers out, and trying to gain an understanding of why they really feel so under attacked all the time. Because I didn't view that that interview in the same way that most people did, and I'm going back there anyway, even though I said that I wouldn't go back there. But I didn't view that interview like that at all. And it was like, watching it, I saw what looked like something that was very strategic and well orchestrated, because of the attacks that were coming from other people, from what was it, the comedian Ari Shafir, and his tweet, and from Felicia Sonmez, her tweet from the Washington Post, the things that they were saying. And it wasn't that we as a community viewed Kobe in that particular light. It's outside of the community that view him and that stress that issue, because the accuser was white. And so you have all these people from outside of our community that view him in that way. And we never saw him that way. We all saw him as a brother that was under attack. And I felt that they came together to lay this, this talk to rest, in the best possible way, to address the Ari Shafir, to address the Felicia Sonmez. And it just didn't come across that way. And, because I don't know if it's the bias that people have for Gayle because she's connected, to Oprah, but, they feel like, then it just somehow got distorted into an us versus them, and became less about, honoring Kobe and his legacy, even though out of the over 9 minutes worth of interview that I was able to view on YouTube, that segment was only about a minute and a half. And then all of a sudden, this minute and a half, which, Gayle did say that the network did just deliberately put that piece out. And the thing about it is, we know that that's how networks operate.
It's for ratings and for money. Everything is about the dollars,
right?
And the cents.
That they don't have our community. So Gayle didn't say anything that we didn't already know, which is the networks will put out that narrative and take things out of context because they want to manipulate the emotions of the public. She said what we already knew, but that didn't matter. You know what I mean? Because there's that bias.
Yeah, because let's be real. How many people would have actually watched that interview if that didn't happen? I wouldn't have watched it.
Exactly.
I had no remote interest in it. But as soon as that happened,
we all watched it.
We all watched it.
Yeah.
The world watched it.
Exactly. Who's watching CBS News? Who's watching it? You know what I mean? But that's exactly right. We know exactly what's what. We know how the media, and she just came and said what we already knew, but that still wasn't enough. Because why? The bias and the anger that they have towards Gayle and her association with Oprah just overrode what we already knew. And that's just so, it was just disappointing, you know what I mean? That we would disregard history and everything else like that. Everybody kept asking, but where was the interview with Harvey Weinstein? But then when the posting started circulating, she did interview Harvey Weinstein's lawyer, because Harvey Weinstein's not giving any interviews, but she interviewed his lawyer. That still wasn't enough. Oh, well, that's not the same thing. He represents, even if Harvey Weinstein was sitting there, he would have been saying what his lawyers would have told him to say anyway. What's the difference? But no, that wasn't good enough for the public, because it wasn't about what she actually does. It's about what the narrative that they have in their head about Gayle. And it's just like, this is what they want to stick to, and the level of cognitive dissonance. It doesn't matter what information actually exists, what truth and what reality is. We're still going to hold on to certain beliefs despite all the evidence that says the contrary. I mean, I don't even understand how Oprah even got into it, just because, I mean, Oprah's on tour with Michelle Obama and she got dragged into all of this.
Exactly.
And it's just like, it's just,
You're guilty by
yeah,
association.
yeah. And that just goes to show it's not real. It was never,
Never about them.
it was never about Kobe for a lot of people. They just don't like Gayle. They just don't like Oprah, and whatever narrative they have about them, it's so it's so exhausting. And it's like, I feel it because I've lived it, you know. So and I get it, but yet these women still continue to do their work. People have been saying the same thing about Oprah. It doesn't matter how many men she sends to Morehouse. It doesn't matter how many charter schools she has built in Chicago.
That
And
one.
yeah.
All you need is that
yeah,
one thing.
it doesn't matter.
Doesn't
It doesn't matter that she has a life class show with an audience full of men to sit up there and try to, you know, get some healing and say, you know what, it's time for our men. Because when you heal the men, you know, you heal the family, you heal the nation. It doesn't matter that she did a show. It doesn't, and when the work that I do is inspired by Oprah. You know, she was the first person that I saw doing this level of work from the 80s, you know, from the 90s. You know, then I began coming across, you know, other women in the community who serve, one of my sacred mother, Queen Afua, you know, who also inspired me. And there's so many women that's out there doing this work, but it doesn't really matter if the people that you're trying to reach don't want to receive it, they're not intentional about their own healing, then it's going to be hard. It's going to be, and I started to second guess whether I can even continue doing this show, continue doing this work, because I'm like, if I can't even reach the people that I'm trying hardest to connect to, then, you know,
And
what
that's
does
why I
that
said,
say?
as long as you reach one, it doesn't matter. You have helped and you have saved and you have brought that person, because your message right now is reaching somebody. It's not going to reach everybody, but it's reaching somebody. And that's all you have to. As long as you reach somebody, you did your job. You did your purpose, because you reached that person. That person that was on the edge, you brought them back from the edge.
And intellectually, you know that. Intellectually, I do know that. But still, emotionally, it's still a struggle, you know, because it's like you still have to develop that armor to deal with the constant attack, you know, that happens, you know, every time these conversations comes up. And it's like, even when I went through, you know, my rites of passage in 2016, so there's also alongside the Sacred Woman program, you know, there's also the Man Heal Thyself program, which is, you know, the counter. And it's like, there was over 100 women globally that was, you know, ascending in their Sacred Woman program. And then the men that was in the Men Heal, it was about, I'd say, between 3 to 5 men that had completed the program that same semester that I completed my rites of passage. And it's just like, you know, we're out here, we're intentional with our healing and trying to now bring the men into it. And, you know, when you're meeting that level of resistance and they're just so angry and they're just so resistant, and, you know, you just keep, and I'm trying to find that balance, you know, between, you know, pushing back and, you know, and pulling back. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, you have to hold them accountable and push them, but then you have to also know, when to, all right, ease up, and learning how to finesse that. It takes some time, and I'm still learning. I'm not perfect with that, and it just seems like I would just love for them to understand that what my intentions, because for me intentions matter, and that was one of the main differences between the conversation between Lisa Leslie and Gayle, and also with the Kobe case versus someone like Bill Cosby versus someone like Weinstein and R. Kelly. To me, once you heard what Kobe's apology was and everything that Kobe had to say, and subsequently, and how he lived his life, you can get a sense that his intentions was never to violate, disrespect this woman or any woman at all. And Lisa Leslie did an excellent job in painting the picture to let the world know her. And that's why I also think that her, Gayle and Lisa Leslie, those two having the conversation was so important, because it's two Black women painting the picture that the intentions of this Black man. So when she asked the question, does it make it complicated for you and his legacy about what happened as a woman, as a WNBA player. I think that the fact that she specified both, as a woman, as a WNBA player, so that this way Lisa Leslie can answer, well, no, not as a woman, especially, as a Black woman, and as somebody who's on the inside as the WNBA player. And she was very deliberate in painting Kobe as the antithesis to all of the, to many other of the Black men in oh no, there's men. I got men in the NBA friends that actually do act like that. No, not Kobe. She was very deliberate about that. That's why it just looked like the conversations was specifically worded in a particular way, was set up so that Lisa Leslie can knock it down, but it didn't come across that way.
Because
so no.
The networks put it out there to get a rise.
Yeah.
That's what we want to see. Destruction and mayhem sells. People want to see destruction. They want to see mayhem. They want to see confusion. Love doesn't really make as much money. Love is nice. Love is cute, but
I hope Love makes some money this weekend for Issa Rae and Lakeith. You know what I mean? In the photograph, I hope Love makes some money this weekend.
At the end of the day, what gets all the likes on social media? What gets all the views? What does everybody turn to on TV? They turn to destruction, to mayhem, to confusion, to chaos.
But why is
Because
that?
people like to see other people fail. They like it.
But that's on us.
I know it is.
That's on us.
It is.
And because even my thing was looking at that video, even if you have a problem with Gayle, you have two women in that video. You have Lisa Leslie, who gave all the right answers. There's a choice on which side we chose to magnify. We knew, everybody said Lisa Leslie knocked those answers out the park. So why didn't we just highlight that and say, look, this is what Lisa Leslie was saying. So why don't, and I'm going to use some terrible language here, but Ari Shafir, Felicia Sanchez, eat a dick. Why? Lisa Leslie set the record straight. You two, go eat a dick. You understand? But no, we didn't do that. We picked out on Gayle. You know what I mean? That's what we chose to blow out of proportion. And then Snoop, and then the videos start coming out, going in on her. And it's just like, wow.
It's so disrespectful.
And I'm just like, how is this okay? And then the people that co-signed it, and it was just like, it was so reckless. And it was like, I said to people, that didn't feel that, oh, he didn't threaten her. I said, what? He said, we gonna come get you. Anybody in the hood know exactly what that means. We gonna come see you. We gonna come get you. We know what that means. And of course, Snoop is not gonna do the work himself. You understand what I'm saying? But yet, some knucklehead
will take what he said
and looking to earn a stripe, gonna take that as a direct order for him. That's how I saw it. You understand? And it's like, it was reckless, and people knew, because if you start to the point where when Susan Rice stepped in and she was just like, you know what? Back that fuck off, And she had, and it's such a shame that, and that's another thing that really bothered me, that she had to go to that level, because all that does is reinforce the narrative that the only way to correct and check a black man is with violence. That they don't have any self-regulation themselves. And it's like, that's the only reason why Snoop backed down, was because Susan Rice said, yo, you don't want this smoke, okay? That's why he backed down. Everybody, and then the brothers want to sit there and say that it was a money thing. Snoop's money wasn't in jeopardy because his commercials were still running before he got all these commercials, and everybody that's backing him, they knew what he was. This is not the first time he used that language. Snoop's whole entire career has been built on being disrespectful to women. They knew what Snoop was. His money was never in jeopardy. It's because Susan Rice went public and said, you don't want this smoke. So now, here we are again, showing the world that the only way to check a black man is with the threat of violence. In a world where cops is beating them because they feel threatened. So if a black woman feels threatened, if a white police officer feels threatened, if anybody feels threatened by a black man, make sure that you're violent and you threaten.
That you meet his threats.
Yeah. That's outrageous. But nobody sees that. Nobody sees that. All they just see is the narrative back and forth with black men and black women. And like, it's deeper than that. It's deeper than that. I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the hashtag for Susan Rice on Instagram. And if you see all the little knuckleheads and all the gangbangers and the wannabe Crips talking about, they gonna come up and they gonna sit up there and they really think that the Crips is gonna unite against Susan Rice. And I'm just like, do they really have a clue? Do they really understand how this works? And now Snoop comes and he issues his apology, and brothers still don't get it. That why he had to do that. That he was wrong. They still don't see that he was wrong and that he was out of order. And they're just like, oh, well, why would he do that? Why? Because he was wrong. Where is Gayle King's apology? Oh, she disrespected the family. How do you know?
But she didn't. You can disagree with somebody without having to go to that level. And at the end of the day, she was doing her job. That's her. She's a journalist. This is her job. And with all of that, it's our job to get the whole truth. It is our job.
Vanessa Bryant hasn't even spoken and said she felt disrespected. Well, we don't even know if she ran the questions, with Vanessa Bryant before she aired. You know what I mean? Lisa Leslie is a friend of the family. You think Lisa Leslie's camp didn't see those questions before they got on that camera? You really think?
And from doing interviews,
okay,
I know for a fact they run the questions
absolutely
beforehand.
And that's why I said it was calculated and orchestrated. Everybody knows that the questions are because they will approve and deny certain questions. So Vanessa, so Lisa Leslie being a close friend of Kobe Bryant and the family, do you really think that Vanessa didn't know what questions was going to be asked. We haven't heard from Vanessa. We haven't heard from Lisa. But yet the world seems to think that Vanessa is really disrespected. Why? Why are we speaking on behalf? And they like when you think about it, you have two women, two black women, Gayle and Lisa Leslie, and then you have Snoop. Who you really think is keeping up with whether or not Vanessa's good? Who you think really knows whether or not Vanessa's good and if she's all right?
That would be Lisa.
And I'm sure Gayle too. You know what I mean? And I'm sure Gayle also knows whether or not you really don't think that at somewhere at this time with all of this going on, that Gayle and Oprah, let's throw her in there because hasn't reached out and spoken to Vanessa Bryant? Really? Come on. We're women. We're black women. We think of each other and the children first at all times. So do people really believe that they don't know how they're feeling? I don't know. But no, everybody's all caught up in their emotions and not really thinking. And who's the only person that issued an apology? Snoop. And why did Snoop? Because he talked to his mama, another black woman. Okay? But yet and still, we always have to, black women have to carry the emotional burden, and we have to always be accountable for these brothers and their emotions because they don't want to be accountable for it themselves, and we have to carry that weight all the time. And then for all of that to then be reduced to saying that you're a man hater, you're this and that, and we know what our roles are. We know we have to be responsible. Why? Because society doesn't tell men that there's value in them having emotional intelligence, keeping their emotions in check. So here comes men going off. I mean, calling Gayle King all kind of coons, all kind of bed wenches and mammies. And I'm sitting here watching grown men refer to a 65-year-old woman as a mammy and a white man's bedwench. It's like, how are you cool with that? How are you as a man okay with calling a 65-year-old woman those kinds of names? It's like, we grown. Why are you like? Are you 12? Calling me like how are you okay with that? And these is people that's consider themselves conscious and consider themselves woke, and it's just like, really, like, this is so anti Kobe, and it's so anti Mamba mentality, and it's just like, how did we get here? And I just, when I tell you I'm emotionally exhausted, I am emotionally exhausted because who told me? I don't know if you saw it. Did you watch the Netflix documentary Who Killed Malcolm X?
No.
Oh, that might even be the next topic for this month because that was another thing. Watching that documentary Who Killed Malcolm X, and I'm sitting there watching that documentary, and I'm just like looking at all these black men who are supposed to have a certain level of discipline, a certain level of spirituality, and everything was just hypocritical to everything. And they sat up there, and I don't want to give anything away, but I was like, are you kidding me? Like, and it was so in line with what was already taking place, with Kobe and the interview, and I'm just like, wow. I was drained. I had to pause it, and I said, the lack, and they were so nonchalant about the lack of accountability. So nonchalant, they didn't care. Like, they didn't have to be accountable for the truth, And the documentarian, I want to get his name right, Abdur Rahman Muhammad. He was just like, even for historical accuracy, for the sake of being historically accurate, you don't want the truth out there. They didn't even care. I mean, black people have been sitting here complaining about how our history has been told by other people, and it's not accurate because other people are sitting up here telling our history, and here we are. This is our stuff, and we don't even care about the historical accuracy of what took place. And it was just like I I I couldn't believe I couldn't believe what I was. And as what I always say, with all of these situations, the hood knows. The hood always knows. And it's like, and the hood will cover up everything. The hood will cover up everything. And that's all you see that's doing here. It's just smoke and mirrors. The hood is covering up for all the truth. It's like, no, they don't want, and I, and it don't even matter what the truth is with, let me not say it doesn't matter what the truth is. At this point now, it's already been laid to rest. But they're just so afraid of whatever truth coming out or anything else coming out about that they're just quickly going to throw out them smokes and mirrors. They're going to create the red herring because they're just so afraid of the truth. And that is frightening, that we're not able to sit in our discomfort just so that we can get to some healing and we can lay certain things to rest. Like we can't. So if we can't even sit in something that makes us uncomfortable for things that's not even our own story, how will anybody sit in the discomfort when it is their story?
That's how we've been trained. And it's generational. We've been trained like that. And we just have to find somehow to break that cycle, because it's going to continue. It's not going to stop. We're trained. We do it. Our parents did it. We do it. That's how we are.
But here's a question. Do we want to break the cycle? Because
No.
from what I'm seeing is we're
of course
very
not.
attached to our trauma. We are committed. We are loyal. It's like if we release our,
It's comfort.
Yeah.
That's our comfort zone.
yeah. And I'm like, we like to be outraged.
Yes.
We like a piece of outragement, And it's just like when we could choose peace, in moments when we can choose peace, no, we choose to be outraged. And I'm just like, that's kind of disturbing that and it's like we need to be angry. If you're not angry, you're not black. You know what I mean? So, and that's what I'm seeing here. It's like, okay, if you're not emotional, you're not angry about everything that's taking place right now, you're not black enough. You're a sellout. You're this, you're everything else that. So it's like blackness and anger has to exist, because if you're not angry, you ain't black or you selling out. And I'm like, but if you call a black man angry or you call a black woman angry, nah, you know what I mean? They're offended. But if you're not angry enough, you're still not black enough. How is that?
It's like you can't please both sides of the coin.
I don't know. I'm watching this and I'm like, I feel like I'm in bizarro land. And I'm like, do y'all realize what's happening? Do you realize what you're saying and what you're insinuating? And I don't think people actually get it.
They don't, because they don't see it.
How do we get?
You don't, because it's so ingrained in you. You don't know what you're doing. It's ingrained. It's like built into the fabric of you. So if you don't know you're doing it, or if you don't know this is what you're doing, you're going to think that's normal. And you're going to be like, okay, so that's how you're supposed to be.
But doesn't it feel wrong? Like to carry that outrage all the time? Doesn't it feel heavy? And it takes a lot to maintain outrage. To maintain a constant state of outrage, that's a lot of effort.
Yeah, but if you don't know what the peace is, you're not going to understand that this is not how it's supposed to be. Unless you've experienced peace, peace of mind, peace of spirit, you're just going to think, yeah, I'm supposed to be like this. You have to, you understand? You have to experience it. You have to know it. You have to feel it. Feel that weight lifted in order to understand that this is not healthy. This is not good for us.
Well, I would imagine that people just don't feel well. You know what I mean? Like it's like you're walking around, and I guess it's kind of the same thing with like when you're seeking mental health treatment or emotional health treatment. You have to feel like all is not well. And when you get to that point where you feel like all is not well, it's like, okay, now it's time to do something. But if you're functioning, then people are gonna, all right, well, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. But we have to get to a place where we're emotionally honest and, start telling the truth about what we really want. And I'm and I don't want to believe that we don't want to get better between us, between men and women. Like, because it just almost feels like anytime somebody tries to erase the line and the divide, that we just draw it back in higher definition. It's just like, no, 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 no. You know what I mean? It's just like, no, no, no. Don't erase it. You got to make sure you see it. And it's like who, because when I was talking to a friend of mine, a male friend of mine, and I said, we're not going to survive white supremacy in this country if we're not together, and it's like we're so divided. It's like, how are we expected to survive white supremacy if we're fighting each other?
And that's because it's ingrained in us. That divide is ingrained in us. It is the fabric of our lives, that divide. We don't know how to get past the divide. We don't.
I'm trying to figure it out, and I want to get somebody. I don't know if I have to lead the women over to the side of the men, or lead the men over to the side of the women, or bring everybody, to the middle. I don't know. I'm trying to figure this out. I know something has to happen, and I don't know what. And I'm trying to think. You understand? That's it. I'm trying to think. But I don't know.
Let me an example of how the divide is. I'm at a restaurant the day Kobe passed away, and the gentleman at the bar, he's getting really emotional. He was just like, I can't believe, oh my God, and you see him tearing up. And his wife comes up to him, and she was like, "You crying? You can't be crying. You for real crying? You don't even know him." And I had to turn to her like, "Oh, this is why we are the way we are." Because he's showing you a sensitive side to him, and you're like, you can't be sensitive with him. And this is why I'm saying the divide, it's in us. Men can't be sensitive. And if you're sensitive, you're not man enough.
But that's what
so,
we've done shows about
yes.
that, about and whether or not, and I didn't get a chance to even go deeper into it in the show we did a couple of weeks ago, is about whether or not us women are prepared to see our men being vulnerable, and that was because we didn't have enough time to even get to the women's aspect of it. But that's, but we've talked about that in previous seasons, about, are we as women prepared to see our men being vulnerable? And you know what? And I wind up, because I posted an article on Facebook where a woman wrote, while men were mourning, and that, we're seeing our men in a very vulnerable position, and, seeing Black men mourn on such a large scale, and creating the safe space of for men to mourn and be vulnerable. So it was a piece I had posted about that.
So I had to tell her, I'm like, instead of saying it's okay, I understand, because like it affected me, and I don't know Kobe. And like, I
Yeah.
don't even watch basketball.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't watch basketball, but I felt for him, and I was just like, and so when he doesn't start showing you emotion and he's not available for when you need it, it's gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
But you're showing him
That he doesn't have a safe space to
exactly.
yeah.
And this is how men feel. Like I have to have that tough exterior, and I have to be this way because
Yeah. And that's so because society doesn't allow for men to be vulnerable. They're the same way they're not comfortable expressing vulnerability. We have no practice seeing them being vulnerable, so it makes us uncomfortable as well. So now we're in an era of black male vulnerability where they are expressing it a little bit more freely than ever before. We have to be prepared ourselves to see it
and
and
this may
support
sound
them.
a little. This is why I feel some black men, not all, some black men go to white women because they have that emotional support for them. Like some white
Because
women,
they exercise that muscle more.
exactly.
Because with white men, and they express emotions differently, so they're used to it, and they have that muscle.
And
That
that's
has
why
happened.
some black men are like, oh, you're always an angry black woman. You know, Margaret is
Karen is okay, she
I
lets me
can
cry,
exactly.
Exactly,
Becky.
but that's why this stuff is so important, because it's not only about them, it's about us too. We both have work to do on both sides of the coin. And it's like, I had to actually cut somebody off my page for that article as well, because this man came and attacked me because I posted the article, and I was saying, because I also have a lot of male friends who was in mourning, and I just let them know that, what, if you need me, I got you. You need a space to talk, that there's a safe space, whatever. And he accused me of calling black men weak. He accused me of saying that, oh, why do you always think that black men are so weak, and that you have to be some kind of savior for black. And I said, wait, what? I was like, that's not what this is about. I was just like, he's just like, oh, you don't like to be challenged. I was like, what is there to challenge? And it's like, that was so bizarre to me. Here I am just posting an article about being empathetic, about women being empathetic to our men while they're in mourning, and you felt that was something to challenge. And as I said to him, I was like, you're not challenging me, and I'm not taking this personally. I was like, you're challenging other black men, and as an elder black male, that's disappointing, because if there's people stepping up and saying that they're supporting these black men in mourning and giving them a safe space, and saying that that they can be empathetic to them, what is there to challenge about that? You know what I mean? I was like, I've never used the word weak to call black men. All I'm saying is, I got you. I'm here for you. I'll listen to you, and I'll hear you. Where does that imply that? And I just felt like,
Because he's, as you said, he's an older black man. That's that. I can't. I have to be tough. I can't show my emotion. I can't. That a lot of older, especially older West Indian. I'm not saying he's West Indian.
he is. He is.
A lot of older West
He
Indian
is.
men. That's how they feel.
And
You can't.
but that's okay. If they feel, but don't assign that to me and say that I'm saying that black, because I didn't say that at all.
Because you're making it okay for them to be emotional, and black men are not supposed to be emotional. That's not how you're supposed to be as a man. That's how they feel. Not saying.
I hear you, and I get it because, of course, I
You
come
were
from a
raised with,
Caribbean.
I was
Exactly, I
like
was
you
raised
raised
in the
with,
Caribbean household, and
exactly.
I get it. However, we all know that how we were raised, we got a lot of stuff that we need to unlearn,
Of
and a
course.
lot of things that we need to unravel, and we have to do things differently.
They're not going to
So
see it like that, though.
yeah. And that's the thing. And it's like, it hasn't worked for us. We have a lot of, you know, and the thing about it is he has his own level of PTSD and his own level of anxiety that he deals with. You know what I mean? As we all are. And pretty much most of us are. So why? What what is the point in, trying to thwart the efforts of healing when you have your own journey to healing, and it's just like, but you may not necessarily be public about it, but why are you going to sit up there and try to throw a monkey wrench in somebody else's, and that's what I don't get. And it's just like, I just felt that was so disappointing.
Because misery loves company. Misery loves company.
But I, I want everybody to I want everybody to have peace. Why doesn't I want everybody to be happy, and I want everybody to have peace. And it just seems like you said, everybody's just so comfortable being miserable. Everybody's so comfortable being outraged. And it's like, does that really feel good to people? Does it really feel cozy to be, to be angry? I mean, I've had my own journey with mental health and depression and anxiety, which I still deal with every single day. And that's because it's not comfortable. It's not cozy. You know what I mean? So you take every single day and you battle it every single day. And I don't know. And I don't want to want more for people than they want for themselves. I just want to inspire everyone to be their best selves and let them know that it's okay to be your best self, whatever that is, and make it safe for people to be their most authentic selves and just, live optimally. Is that so wrong? I don't understand how, you know. And I'm trying right now. And like I said, I didn't even want to talk about this, but as I'm just, everything is just starting to spill out, and it's just like, because I have to be real about what's going on and and what's happening, and it's and I'm not gonna lie. I'm right now, I am hurt. Right now, I am disappointed, and it's a lot for me, And on the way over here, I'm saying, okay, I didn't even know if I was gonna even make it through this episode because I really just want to cry. I mean, just when I tell you, not even just cry, I want bawl. Okay, I really just want bawl, And it's like, because it's just it's taking such an emotional toll on me, and I didn't think I was gonna get through this episode, and because it hurts so much that I want so much for people, even more than they want for themselves, and sometimes to the point where, I was like, I gotta back up. It's like, Sesheta, you gotta back up. Sesheta, you gotta back up. You gotta ease up. You gotta ease up on people. And it's just like, I get up in the morning. I have, some male friends who I know are going through some challenging times and challenging, and some struggles right now. So I get up in the morning and I send them a little prayer and I send them a blessing in the morning. And sometimes I wonder, what? Are they reading it and you know what I mean, and getting annoyed because like how some people just really get upset when the people that's some people, I guess the Christians, just put up a little Bible scripture. It's like, why these Christians always, and some people, everybody don't feel for that all the time. But if the Spirit moves me and I wake up in the morning, I want to send that blessing and I want to send that prayer to them in the morning so that they can start the day
off.
yeah,
Yes.
knowing that somebody
Someone thought,
love and somebody just
somebody cared
yeah,
enough send this to you,
Yeah. And it's
to
just like,
send them a blessing.
and then if you have to second guess sending out a blessing, you know what I mean? It's just like, how do we get here when you got to second guess sending out a prayer, sending out a blessing? And because you just want to show somebody that you got them. So like, I'm walking through this with you. You having a hard time, you don't have to go through it by yourself. I got you, and I'm going to walk through this fire with you. And and some of our brothers, it's like they can't soften up to do it. And it's like, I hear no, I gotta do this for myself. I gotta find myself. I gotta do this. Why do you feel you have to do this by yourself? If somebody's telling you, I'm gonna walk through this with you and I got you, why do you insist? And that's what, those are the moments when I realized I gotta back up. I gotta back up because I can't push. Because if they feel that they need to walk through certain things by themselves, then you gotta let them.
Yeah.
But anyways, gotta wrap this up. And I got through it.
No tears.
No tears. I mean, I was choked up. My voice was different. But thank you for always being here with me, Steph. I appreciate you. My ride or die from Medgar Evers days.
MEC.
Yeah. So this is Sesheta Khepra, the Intimacy Junkie, and SoulShare is signing out.